Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Now in today's video of your country is ran by a bunch of dummies, I'd love to use a different word but we'll keep it as close to PG-13 as humanly possible, but here we go again with these Democrat fossils saying the darnest things, of course starring Joe Biden. And of course here we go with Joe Biden once again having to debunk most of the garbage that continues to come out of the man's face hole. Guess what, folks? Joe Biden is once again taking a victory lap over his brilliant economic leadership by doing what exactly? Completely misrepresenting the economic data that was released today in last month's CPI reading. Joe Biden wants you to believe that the economy is roaring back and that everyone's just doing so swell. But of course, reality tells a different story. Let's get into what these crazy Democrats continue to say. We've got some stuff to get into, we've got some phony narratives to debunk. So let me show you guys what's going on and let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so yesterday, August 10th, 8:30 in the morning, I believe, last month's CPI reading comes in at 8.5%, lower than the prior month, which was at 9.1%, and the current narrative is that inflation has officially peaked. Honestly, it's a somewhat decent sign. I mean, it's a good thing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I want inflation to continue going up because I absolutely hate inflation. It is in fact the first decent sign that we've seen economically. It's only 1 month. We've seen a tick down before month to month from 8.5 or 8.6% down to 8.3, I believe. And then the next month reading was 8.7, then 9.1%. So it's not time to take a victory lap just yet. And it's also not time to pretend that the economy is coming roaring back all of a sudden. It's not time to misrepresent the data, but of course that's exactly what this clown in chief, Sleepy Joe, is doing. Here's Joe Biden touting his economic success after claiming that his economic plan is working.
About the news that came out today relative to the economy. Actually, I just want to say a number. 0. Today, we received news that our economy had 0% inflation in the month of July. 0%. Here's what that means. While the price of some things went up last month, the price of other things went down by the same amount. The result, 0 inflation last month, but people are still hurting, but 0 inflation last month.
What did this guy just say? Joe Biden literally just said that July's inflation number was 0%. This guy has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. It came in at 8.5%. But of course, it's not exactly surprising. I mean, it continues to be disheartening that your economic future and the stability of the American economy is partially in the hands of this supposed leader who can't even say the word economics.
7 Nobel laureates in the economy, on the economists, and the economics, I should say.
And so a couple weeks ago, according to genius economist Joe Biden, consumer sentiment was down because Americans hadn't received their $8,000 checks from the government.
In the face of inflation, price of the pump, although that's down every day so far, but, it's like, whoa, I feel worse off. But then again, I didn't get a check for $8,000 from the government. They're just, among other things. Does that make any sense to anybody, or is it just me?
And now this week, apparently, inflation is at 0%. Now, supposedly what he meant to say, I mean, it's crazy that we have to decipher what this clown is trying to say, is that month-over-month inflation came in at 0.7%, which is a little bit less than expected, but still around the range, and to pretend as if that's some sort of massive victory is a complete joke. 0.7% month-over-month inflation with 8.5% CPI is not the massive win that Joe Biden and his voters think it is. It's still pretty damn bad. And it's also expected. I mean, Joe Biden over the last couple of months has been praising his job on reducing gas prices. I mean, we've seen demand destruction, which has been part of the Fed's strategy, and that's the reason why we're seeing a reduction in gas prices. And so considering the reduction in energy costs, it's not exactly surprising that CPI is down a little bit a month and a half after energy costs started to go down. And this is the very frustrating part of Joe Biden's preemptive celebration. Energy costs are down, but the price of food continues to rise. This is exactly what I've been predicting over the last couple of months. Inflation is going to start transitioning from energy costs and from transportation costs into regular everyday consumer goods. Even CNN is reporting on the phenomenon.
Not great news when it comes to food prices. Food at home is the number you want to look at, up 1.3% in July, and year over year up 13%. 0.1%. And let's look at some of these items that we're seeing increases, but some decreases on. So first, beef, chicken, we're seeing that up 0.8%, chicken up 1.4%.
Tommy Pigott puts it into perspective. Joe Biden is doing his best to one-up Marie Antoinette. Grocery prices spiked 13.1% from last July, the largest increase in 43 years. Food inflation has risen for 14 straight months. And yet he has the audacity to claim that his economic plan is working. Folks, this is not the win that Democrats think it is. This is not the win that Joe Biden is trying to claim it is. This is perfectly normal and totally expected, and it actually changes nothing. The Fed isn't all of a sudden gonna pivot, and this CNBC report describes exactly what I mean by that.
When we look at what really matters for the Fed, as we've been saying this morning, it's that core number. And year over year, that did not come down for core CPI. And the Fed has consistently talked about wanting to see that core number, the month over month and the year over year, come down. So
core CPI is still up and it's still way too high. In other words, Jerome Powell and the Fed are most likely still going to be on a demand destruction path, increasing the rate probably up until early 2023. The economic reality that Americans face, whether it's their retirement savings, the price of their homes, or their ability to afford basic necessities and services, that current grim outlook and grim situation has yet to change. And yet all we see from this president is the continuation of his political strategy to get optic wins on inflation ahead of the 2022 midterms. A CPI reduction of 0.6% from 9.1% down to 8.5%, and Joe Biden can now stand in front of the camera and say, my economic plan is working. The Inflation Reduction Act is working, even though the bill was signed like 2 days ago and has nothing to do with the current economic numbers that we're seeing. This guy is a total clown. This is probably exactly what they mean when they say that politics is a cynical game. But anyways, folks, less about the economics and the data and Joe Biden's dishonesty, and let's just end the video with a couple viral clips that continue to make the point that your country is led by a bunch of dummies. These Democrat fossils are unbelievable. Clip number 1 with nearly 10 million views is Joe Biden stepping out of the presidential helicopter, otherwise known as Marine One. The guy is a complete mess, folks. Here's another member of the Democrat top brass, Mr. Gerald Nadler, or Jerry Nadler, Democrat New York representative, who apparently still thinks it's like 2004 or something.
And an insurrectionist Republican Party, for the first time in our history, trying to stop the peaceful transfer of power. Now, therefore, I am leading the fight to stop this, and I have passed the 2 impeachments. In leading this, I've impeached Bush twice.
Jerry Nadler has apparently impeached Bush twice. Here's Nancy Pelosi after probably too many martinis, claiming that Benjamin Franklin was a former president of the United States.
Earliest days of our founding of our country, Benjamin Franklin, our presidency, said, freedom and democracy. Freedom and democracy on one thing, security here. If we can't have either if we don't have both. So, security, economics, security, economy, and again, and governance, they're all related, and we want Taiwan to always have.
The rest of what she said is equally as incoherent. Here's Nancy Pelosi in an effort to justify her most recent Taiwan trip.
A lot of attention was paid to Taiwan, and that's right. But it was a bigger visit than that.
Literally not a clue what she's trying to say. And here's Nancy Pelosi praising the CCP. I mean, just wonderful stuff.
We still support the one China policy. We go there to acknowledge the status quo is what our policy is. There was nothing disruptive about that. It was only about saying China is one of the freest societies in the world. Don't take it from me. That's from Freedom House.
Let's
it's
talk
a strong
a little bit.
democracy,
Yeah.
courageous people, and it's just, I don't know why it is, except there's some commercial interests who would like to diminish the relationship.
Apparently, China is a strong democracy and one of the freest societies in the world. Folks, these are the people that are leading you, and really the question is, what is a ship without its captain, or with one of these dummies serving as captain, essentially the same thing? Well, I guess the answer is probably a shipwreck at the bottom of the ocean, lost in history and never seen again. We're living through some truly crazy times. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and of course subscribe to the channel if you're up for it, if you're up for joining the community. I'm going to get back to work. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.